What's up, s'mores? I'm Shannon Morse. Welcome to my YouTube channel all about travel and technology, which just so happen to be two things that really affect our environment. I mean, if I'm gonna be straight and honest here, it really does. So there's something that I've been really trying to get into and get more educated about in the past year, and that has been sustainability and how to reduce waste. And that not only goes into like my lifestyle and how I live at home and what kind of products I buy, but it also comes down to what companies I'm supporting and what technology I'm purchasing for my own self and how much I travel and stuff like that. So I've been trying to educate myself more on this, and a lot of times it gets very confusing and it's really hard to calculate and understand what your carbon footprint is like, and it's really hard to kind of get a grasp of what you can do as a consumer that would actually make it all worthwhile. I had a comment on a recent video that I did, and I'm pretty sure it was on a tech review, but somebody asked me, how often should you replace your phone? Should you replace it every year? And TLDR, I told them no. There's no reason to replace a tech product if it still works for you. I mean, even though we're inundated with new technology constantly, and companies are constantly marketing these new products to us and trying to tell us to buy the newest best thing. And even I'm promoting that in a sense because I'm reviewing all these new products. It still doesn't mean that you should necessarily buy something new every single year if the thing that you currently have works perfectly fine. You know, the old slogan is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I sounded really country there, sorry. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, okay? It's true. If it isn't broken, why fix it? Why replace it? Why put that thing into a landfill, or why waste it away when you can easily just keep the thing around for a long time, or you could like donate it or recycle it to somebody who would get some use out of the product. So in honor of my attempt this year to educate myself better on sustainability and my own carbon footprint as a consumer, I decided to start looking into things that I could do to better help and influence other folks, and things that I could include in future videos as well that would help promote sustainability. So one of those things is this awesome initiative that I somehow fell into and got involved with, and it's a collaboration of about 500 different content creators across all sorts of platforms, whether that's YouTube or Twitter or Instagram or TikTok, wherever it might be. 500 different content creators have decided to join forces and promote something called Team Trees, which is hashtag Team Trees. It all started with this one specific YouTuber who hit 20 million subscribers, and his audience said, well, you should plant 20 million trees. And it was kind of their challenge to him. So of course one person can't plant 20 million trees. So he came out to a whole bunch of other content creators and said, can you help do this initiative? Create this, make this actually something that would be possible in the world. And I think it's totally possible if we all put our own resources together and try to get this to happen. So the initiative is to plant 20 million trees by raising $20 million by January 1st of 2020. Which also means that we only have a little bit more than 60 days to actually make this happen. So how are we all doing this? Well, this isn't just content creators that are doing this. It's also our audience, it's people that we relate to, it's people that also feel like this is an important thing. I live in the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area, and one thing that's been happening lately is our local power company keeps turning off the power because they don't want to worry about the dangers of having power flow through power lines when it's fire season. So instead, they are basically turning off the power for millions of customers in this area. Thanks, PG&E. You're great. Not really. One of the reasons that fires are so prominent in the Bay Area and across California, if I'm being perfectly honest, it's not necessarily because people are getting rid of trees, which they aren't really doing in this area. They are doing in a lot of other areas in the world, but it's because of climate change, because it's so much drier here than it has been in the past. And if you believe differently than me, that's totally fine. I highly suggest looking at some graphs and doing your own research. But in the meantime, I'm trying to find ways that I can better promote my own sustainability so that we're not using up all of our natural resources that cannot be replenished at the same time, so that we don't have this crazy climate change for my future children, which are not happening anytime soon, or for like my sister's kids or anything like that. So they can actually live in a world that still has blue skies and that still has gorgeous oceans and beaches that they can hang out on, instead of having to be inundated with plastics and stuff like that, because it's disgusting, I'll be honest. So you're probably wondering how you can get involved with Team Trees, which is all about planting these 20 million trees by donating 20 million to a specific charity that gets very involved in this kind of sustainability effort. So all of the money that is donated will be going to Arbor Day Foundation, which is a 501c3. That means it's tax deductible for Americans, but it also means that they are going to be putting all their efforts into planting these trees. This is an organization that has been around for 49 years. They have an excellent rating, and they are at the top of the line when it comes to organizations who are trying to promote sustainability by replanting the resources and replenishing the resources that humans have used. Their goal is to plant all 20 million trees between January 2020 all the way through December of 2022. So they'll have 2 full years to plant those 20 million trees. So there's 2 different ways that you can donate. Either you can go to teamtrees.org and you can donate straight through that platform, which is probably how I will do it as well, or you can hit that donate button down below, which is directly on the YouTube platform. Now, the nice thing about the donate button is YouTube is covering the transaction fees, which is also really cool, which is not necessarily something that a lot of organizations do. But since YouTube is covering that transaction fee, that means 100% of your donate with the donate button also goes to the Arbor Day Foundation. So this brings me back to my original question of, should we replace technology every year? And as consumers, is there anything that we can do to be more sustainable and refrain from wasting so much product in our life? Since I am involved with talking to companies so much, I've also educated myself a lot about what these companies are doing to actively promote sustainability and recycling efforts. And luckily, a lot of companies are getting more involved with this. However, they do have a long way to go. I feel like a lot of companies are in their infancy when it comes to sustainability, and they're not quite to the point where they're 100% like taking care of their carbon footprint, or they're 100% using all recycled products in their tech line or merchandise line. But a lot of companies are working their way to getting to that point. So as consumers, we can, as usual, vote with our wallet. We can find companies that are putting money and putting effort into these initiatives. One initiative I know of, and one that I'm actively searching on for different companies, is called 1%fortheplanet.org. So 1%fortheplanet.org allows businesses to sign up, and the businesses can promise to give 1% of their revenue annually to 1%fortheplanet.org, and that money is redistributed into the environment. A couple of companies that just hit off the top of my head are Nimble Tech for Good, which does like batteries, and they do wireless chargers and stuff like that. They are part of 1% for the Planet. And then there's also Peak Design, and I use Peak Design products for a long time. They make my favorite backpack, the one that I take with me to CES every year. They make the camera strap that's on my camera that's currently sitting right in front of me. They make my little camera latch that I latch my camera on with my belt. Like all sorts of different products that I have purchased through Peak Design. They're also a part of 1%fortheplanet.org, and they're trying to put more money into the environment and sustainability efforts. But even taking it a step further than 1% for the planet, there's even companies that are doing recycling and e-waste for themselves, for their own companies. And there's also companies that are doing sustainability efforts, like Google, for example, comes to mind as well, since we just heard about them from their talk last week. They are promising that 100% of Google products by the year 2022 will include recycled materials. Now, there is a caveat to that. We don't know what that percentage is. So it could be only 1% of the materials in a product are recycled materials, or it could be 100% of a product include those recycled materials. But their entire product line will include some kind of recycled materials inside each of those different items. Google is also promising to be 100% carbon neutral by the year 2020, which is also great because that's right around the corner. Another example is Dell Technologies. They make one of my favorite laptops of all time, the XPS 13. It's amazing. If you haven't checked it out, it's a really amazing and beautiful laptop. It's a great piece of machinery. But even Dell is trying to do something that's more sustainable. They are recycling plastics out of the ocean and putting them back into their product line with the packaging. So some of their product line includes packaging that includes no virgin materials whatsoever. All of them are recycled plastics. I think 25% are ocean-bound plastics, and then 75% end up being recyclable waste. So they end up taking all of this and making their packaging into 100% recyclable materials. I love that companies are doing this. So it's great that companies are trying to be more sustainable and trying to recycle and trying to use plastics in their future products, but when it comes to consumers, that still involves purchasing new products. So how do we as consumers still stay sustainable in our own efforts? So I'll give you an example of something that I've done for a long time. I have a Roku downstairs currently that is about 3 years old. It's 4K, which is cool, but it's running on a TV that's about 10 years old. It's a dumb TV. I've never updated the thing because I've never had to. It's full HD, but it still works, so I've never felt the need to update. But now that things are going 4K, I've started considering updating my TV, but at the same time, I'm like, what am I gonna do with my old TV once I do choose to update it and upgrade? I don't necessarily have to upgrade. The thing still works. I could keep it for like another 5-10 years as long as it's still working. It's a fine TV. But if I was to upgrade that TV and go 4K, I could donate my TV to a friend, somebody who needs a TV in their household and doesn't necessarily have one. Or I could make sure that it goes to a recycling center that actually recycles e-waste. Or I could resell it on one of those like Facebook marketplaces and allow somebody from my neighborhood to purchase it from me, or at a garage sale or something like that. I can make sure that it doesn't end up in a landfill, is basically what I'm trying to get at. Whenever something breaks, I've also been trying to educate myself better on how to deal with hardware issues. For example, I had a pair of headphones a while back that broke, and it turned out the only reason they broke was because one of the wires came undone from the port that it was connected into. So I just had to get out my soldering gear and my little iFixit kit, unscrew the headset, and then solder back on the little component that came undone. And then the headset worked perfectly, as if it was brand new. That way I didn't have to replace it. It didn't go in an e-waste center. It didn't end up in a landfill. Nothing like that, because I was able to figure out what was wrong with it, and I was able to fix it myself. And I'm so proud of myself, not just for fixing it and being able to continue using this product and save myself money in the long run by using it for a long time, but I'm also proud of myself because that education that I got from soldering this little component saves me so much money in the long run for future issues that I might have, because now I have that knowledge and now I'm helping my own carbon footprint by not purchasing items that I don't necessarily need. I do want to know how you are trying to be more sustainable, what you are doing to make sure that your tech products don't end up in a landfill, what kind of recycling you do for anything that you're sick of or that you want to get rid of, or maybe something that broke. How are you dealing with it whenever those things come up? Because I am still in that phase of trying to educate myself on what I can do to be a more savvy consumer when it comes to our environment. I think that it's something that's really important, and I love that this Team Trees initiative happened at like the perfect time, because it's something that is really important to me, especially when I have a growing family. You know, my sister has a daughter, my little niece, she's 1.5 years old, and I want to make sure that if there's something that I can do as a consumer, that I do it to make sure that she has a really positive future with blue skies and not like burning wildernesses constantly, like what I'm dealing with here in California. I want to make sure that when she ends up going outside, she doesn't have to wear a face mask every day. I mean, I've been there, it sucks. So comment below and let me know what you are doing with this kind of initiative. Let me know if you donated as well. I'm going to be donating too, and I want to find other ways that we can work with each other to make sure that we reach that goal for Team Trees, because it is really important. Thank you so much to my s'mores for supporting me on Patreon as well as subscribing here. I truly appreciate each and every one of you. You're all so amazing, and I hope that you got some interesting facts out of this video. And if you're looking for more information about how you can support companies that are actually trying to be green or more sustainable in their efforts, I'll put links down below to those initiatives that I mentioned in this video. Until my next video, I'm Shannon Morse. Thanks to my s'mores. I'll see you next time. Bye!